800-3733. We've got hour number 2 on the way. And if you want to weigh in on this question of the dearth of women in the liberty movement, you're welcome to join us. This is Free Talk Live.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $9.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees, ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darrell W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Monday, January 8th, 2018. Silver is trading at $17.18 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,320 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $53, and the average price of Bitcoin is $15,418. Antiwar.com reports with an estimated 1,000 people arrested over the course of a little over a week in protest in Iran, the most high-profile may ultimately be the most surprising. With reports, former President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad has been jailed for incitement. Though Ahmadinejad has not really been linked to the protest movement, he made comments during his visit to Bushehr in late December, which seems to express support for them, faulting the leadership for being detached from the problems and concerns of the people. This makes the narrative a lot trickier internationally, as the U.S. has sought to brand the new protest as a continuation of the 2009 protests, which were themselves against Ahmadinejad's contested re-election. The newer protests started with small economic protest over high inflation and unemployment, and a crackdown fairly quickly angered the public and turned it into a political battle. Iran's Revolutionary Guard have declared the protest over at this point, and indications are that the only rallies on Saturday were in support of the government and against the protesters, whom the leadership have branded as U.S.-backed.
For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals. Gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. They don't feed the banks. They're Bitcoin preferred and have removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
UPI reports President Donald Trump plans to unveil an agriculture initiative seeking to bring broadband internet connection to rural America at the America Farm Bureau Federation's annual convention. Trump will speak alongside Secretary of Agriculture Sonny Perdue on Monday to address a report by the Interagency Task Force on Agriculture and Rural Prosperity, which he established with an executive order in April. Much of the report was built on the basis of bringing broadband internet to rural America, according to Grace Coe, Special Assistant for Technology Technology, Telecommunications, and Cybersecurity at the National Economic Council. The FCC estimates about 39% of rural Americans lack access to quality broadband, which Coe attributed to a lack of interest from broadband providers. She said that is primarily because you have very little incentive to build out because the cost of deployment are high and very little promise of return because the revenue base is small. It makes it difficult to actually justify a business case for building that out. Well, we have to change that. Coe said the administration plans to use federal assets such as the pre-established towers on federal lands, as well as dark fiber deployed by agencies to allow rural providers to interconnect and provide service to communities that have not had access to broadband before. She added the administration also seeks to implement the congressional directive of 2011 by standardizing forms and contracts for antennas sitting on federal buildings. Trump is also expected to address NAFTA and the expiring Farm Bill while speaking at the 99th Annual American Farm Bureau Federation Convention.
Are you looking for a cryptocurrency that has a focus on users and usability? Then look into Zencash. Zencash is the world's first private, distributed, and reliable platform for communications, transactions, and publishing. Zencash features global governance with inclusive decision-making, reliable funding for continuous improvements, and documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zensystem.io. That's zensystem.io.
Reuters reports flooding from a water main break forced the temporary suspension of some flights at New York's JFK International Airport on Sunday, adding to the misery of travelers after a winter storm canceled or delayed hundreds of flights in recent days. The disruption occurred while the northeast of the United States continued to endure bone-chilling weather, with New York temperatures at 17 degrees Fahrenheit. International flights to Terminal 4 were temporarily suspended, and passengers who had already arrived there were diverted to other terminals, according to the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, which operates the airport. The authority said a water pipe that feeds the terminal's sprinkler system broke, which caused flooding and led to a temporary power cut in some areas as a safety measure. More than 500 flights into or out of JFK were canceled and nearly 1,400 delayed from Friday morning to Sunday afternoon. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
The American Psychiatric Association has issued an alarming study warning that the nation's used car salesmen are going completely insane, and in some extreme cases, practically giving cars away. The APA traces the outbreak of widespread hysteria to an apparent overstock of high-quality late-model cars begging to be driven off the lot today. Some severe symptoms include delusions, manic exuberance, and a psychotic commitment to offer the lowest prices guaranteed. Victims' families are joining together to raise awareness of this serious psychological epidemic.
The authorities found out how unbelievably low his prices were. They'd lock him up and throw away the key.
You are not alone. Over half of America's used car salesmen are currently going bonkers.
Car dealers suffering from this condition are prone to project their own disorders onto others. According to Mad Max, the Car Czar's website, you're out of your mind if you're not taking advantage of these low, low prices.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up anything that you want. Our toll-free number is 855-453, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We do have Skype as well. It's Skype username LRN.FM. We are discussing the women in the liberty movement, or rather the lack of women in the liberty movement. With you here tonight, it's Ian.
And Melanie.
And just to be clear, what we're talking about, liberty movement, meaning generally the group of people who believe in the ideas of non-aggression. Although, as we've seen, as you've, I think, rightfully complained about here tonight, Melanie, is that there are a lot of people within the liberty movement who don't believe in the ideas of non-aggression, which is frustrating. And there are women and men alike that don't agree with
Well, then my argument would be that they're not in the liberty movement.
Well, they certainly do run in our circles.
Yeah, they show up here.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you there.
I mean, there's commies that show up here and try to sell jackets out of a van and on the side of the street, but, you know, that doesn't make them part of the liberty community.
Yeah, but do they hang around the liberty community? So, you know, there are people who try to kind of get in with the liberty community here and act as though they are freedom friendly, but then it turns out they're scam artists or they just don't really understand freedom. But there are people who can learn over time. We all started somewhere. You were an arch statist at one point, right?
I mean, I think most people were statist at one point, but yeah.
So, I mean, it is important to have a big tent to welcome people in, to not be shutting off.
It's important to distinguish what people actually are. Because if I start like, oh, we're all just libertarians, like, no, we're not.
No.
Yes, you should talk to other people. If somebody wants to come as kind of in a like questioning status or something like that, or either that or they just want to learn about it, that's great. Then we should talk to them. But to let someone kind of hang around who thinks that suing their landlord every 3 months is a fun idea, and pretend like they're a libertarian is like, if I want to hang around status, I can do that in Louisiana. I didn't have to drive up here.
Right.
Like, and I mean, yeah, okay, so like you're going to come in contact with status, especially if you're converting people, then you're only coming into contact with status. But pretending like they're one of us just because nobody else wants to put up with them is not really what we should be doing.
Pretending they're one of us because nobody else wants to put up with them. What does that mean?
So accepting them kind of as one of us just because they found their way here, either because we had free lunch one night or because they got kicked out of everywhere else in the planet and we're the only people that'll put up with them.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. So, At what point should somebody be ejected from kind company?
I mean, I guess it depends on what it is. If it's an open event, then it's an open event. If it's a liberty of, liberty only, then if they're not that, if they're somebody who's just kind of hanging out with libertarians for just the sake of having someone to hang out with and kind of presenting themselves that way and say, I mean, if they're not making any, and I am not opposed to necessarily somebody who's kind of a minarchist who seems
a small government person.
Yeah, who seems kind of convertible, I guess, or like they're struggling with it or something like that. I don't have a problem with keeping them around for even extensive periods of time, but I have no reason to have, and I don't see any reason to have people who are just here to have some place to be. Like,
yeah, I get what you're saying. You are referring to a woman who specifically moved here in a few years ago. And
well, I was referring to a couple of different people.
But I know for sure you're talking about one person in specific who is constantly in some sort of conflict with her landlords. And she moved here, was actually recommended to move here by somebody who is a libertarian. And I'm not going to name names. There's no point in doing that.
Well, and if people aren't public figures, I'm kind of against naming them in public platforms.
Right, and it's not relevant anyway to the discussion who the people are. But there was a woman who moved here who, as far as I can tell, is a libertarian person, and she recommended this other girl move here from New York City. Now, generally, it's tough for New York City people to make it in a place like New Hampshire, simply because the lifestyle is so drastically different here. There was a guy who moved from New York City, I think it was this summer, and moved to Keene. Showed up at a couple of social meetings, and then we never saw him again. I sent him a message this week saying, hey, how you doing? Just hadn't seen you in a while. And he said he'd move back to New York City because he missed the lifestyle. And it's just like, oh, okay. I guess, this movement wasn't right for you. Most of the people who don't get along or don't play well with others or end up kind of burning bridges with the liberty community, they end up leaving, is one of the things that I've noticed over time. You don't have to do a whole lot of pushing out of those people. They just sort of leave on their own volition for whatever reason. But in this case, this woman hasn't left, from what I can tell. She is still here, and she has constantly posted about issues with her landlords, in which she's always asking about court as a potential solution to those problems. And I don't think there's anybody there's a chat room where she shows up from time to time and asks those questions. I don't think anybody's under the illusion that this person is a libertarian. But I don't know, being one of the people who is an administrator of that chat room, I don't know at which point it's appropriate to come in and say, okay, well, you're just not libertarian enough. Bye-bye. I haven't felt
I'm not saying that everybody has to...
She's brought food to a lot of events and has been very kind.
Okay, so anybody who's nice and brings us food...
Well, I mean, the way to people's hearts is through their stomach. I mean, that is definitely true. I didn't say anybody's pretending she's a libertarian, but she's never been unwelcome as far as being a participant in social gatherings up here. And I think the idea is that if you welcome people in, that maybe they'll listen, to what it is that you have to say on things, and maybe they'll learn a thing or two over time. I'm more of the mindset, and I'm somebody who appreciates principle. Like, I appreciate principled libertarians, people who understand the non-aggression principle. I want those people to move to New Hampshire, but whether it be this lady or a somewhat mentally ill gentleman who was here at one point that ended up kind of burning some bridges, I've always been err on the side of welcoming rather than exclusion. And I know that that's not necessarily something that everybody agrees with. So it's hard to come up with a point at which, are we going to welcome people who are 90%, with us, but they're wrong on a few different issues? Are we going to welcome people who are wrong on a bunch of different issues? So it's hard to draw those lines for me, but maybe not for you.
Well, I think it's pretty... I'm sure I can come up with a case at which it's difficult. And I'm not saying, okay, we should only let in people who score in the top pixel of the world's smallest political diamond test.
Mm-hmm.
That would leave you with, 3 people. So that's kind of an impractical standard. I guess the answer to me is, would I be okay with this person representing my philosophy? And if the answer to that is no, then I don't... from my perspective, they shouldn't be in libertarian areas. But then also you can let in people who...
Or a social meetup? Or testifying in front of the state representatives?
We can't tell people not to testify in front of the state representative. You don't have to be a libertarian to testify in front of the state rep.
You don't have to give her a ride there, right? You don't have to help them get to that point, which is why at some point I stopped giving Christopher Cantwell a ride to when he stopped being a libertarian and started going into this racist direction, which he had never been previously that I could tell. I decided that I was no longer going to be inviting him to the State House with me.
Yeah, if someone is progressing, if they're not there yet, if someone is working on themselves and progressing towards it, then if it was up to me, then I would let that person in.
Here's a shocker for you. What about the people, and I realize we've gotten off the topic of female libertarians here, but what about the people who come here? Again, we're talking about this migration of libertarians. There's a bunch of them moving to New Hampshire, for those that aren't familiar. And some of them have come here, have been libertarian, and then have devolved from that point. Like, they got into all the groups, they were very libertarian, the things that they said were very principled, they were well read, and then they completely devolved into status. It's happened on more than one occasion, and it's all been men. So what do you do with them? We're coming up here in moments, 855, 450, free. In our case, most of them have left on their own volition. This is Free Talk Live.
Thinking about getting into cryptocurrency but feel overwhelmed by the high price of Bitcoin? Or maybe you've used Bitcoin in the past, but were turned off by the high transaction fees and slow transfer times. It's time you looked into Dash. Dash is digital international money that you can send anywhere, anytime for less than a nickel. With Dash, your transactions can be instant and private. Dash offers a fully incentivized and decentralized peer-to-peer network where miners are rewarded for keeping the network fast, strong, and safe for its users. Start your journey at Dash.org. Since its launch in 2014, Dash has made a huge impact in the crypto world and is showing no signs of stopping. Check out Dash.org for more information about Dash. And get in now on the future of cryptocurrency. Dash.org.
From the second letter of Captain Mark. Any pirate knows that commerce is communication. Markets condense oceans of information into a single price. Innovations in communication are circumventing the scrutiny of the Crown. This signals a change in the coin of the realm. The Crown uses digital currency to surveil, censor, seize, and destroy wealth at will, so pirate currency must protect us from this weaponized money. We need to move funds further, faster, cheaper, and without third-party observation, basing decisions on an accelerating flow of information. So pirates require nearly instantaneous transactions with no arbitrary limits on volume or artificial influences on fees. Most importantly, a pirate currency must preclude centralization. Otherwise, it will become another link in our chain to the crown. A superior currency will result in the obsolescence of the coin of the realm and the extinction of the crown itself. Trade above the grid. Join us at pirateswithoutborders.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Hi, this is Mark Edge of Free Talk Live. Michael W. Dean's book, User's Manual for the Human Experience, changed my life. In a culture that attempts to turn you into a compliant victim, this book gives you implementable steps on everything from how to be aware of your environment, walking down the street, to business, to how to handle a toxic person in your life. If you're a human, you need to read this book at least once. Go to Amazon and get the Kindle version, or paperback, or an audiobook of A User's Manual for the Human Experience.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live dial. Toll free, join us right here. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. And I think it's funny that the first night that we are on the air on Twitch, twitch.tv, you can go to twitch.lrn.fm. It'll take you right to our channel there. It's our first night doing that. And by the way, we're in HD on Twitch. But we've actually got more viewers on Twitch tonight than we've had on YouTube. And the YouTube channel's been there for years. So I guess that's a good sign. So thanks to everybody who's watching us on Twitch. And I guess on Twitch you can follow, and then you'll get notices. So if you've got the Twitch app on your phone, for instance, it'll give you notice that LRN is live, or Free Talk Live in our case is live. And again, also the Call to Freedom, the new weekday show on LRN.FM, is also going to be on the Twitch channel. They started earlier today. And so you'll get notices there. And then there's what we were told on the Free Talk Live forum is that if you are an Amazon Prime subscriber, that you get a free Twitch subscription. And I don't know if I'm using the right terminology because I'm still pretty new to Twitch. I'd had an account for the last few months and just, had been using it as a viewer. And I know there's a way for people to pay Twitch for a subscription. And I don't know if there's a way to do that separate of Amazon Prime. There may be. I think there is a way to just do it straight through the Twitch site. But there is also those people who have Amazon Prime. If you weren't a Twitch user before, well, one of the things you get with the Amazon Prime is you get a free subscription that you can grant to one of your Twitch channels that you like. So if you grant that subscription, I think it's like one per month maybe. If you grant that to Free Talk Live, it doesn't cost you anything extra, but they'll actually cut us a piece of the Prime revenue, which is pretty cool, supposedly. although Amazon broke up with us in the last year, and I think they own the Twitch site. So how long this Twitch relationship will last still remains to be seen. But we're there now. And we'll take your calls about what you want. So we were talking about libertarians and libertarian females as well. Were you going to be telling us something before we? I didn't write it down, whatever it was. I totally spaced out on. You were going to tell a story of some sort, but I don't know. It was something about school bills. That was a few segments ago.
Yes, because you asked if women would realize that the state is better for. Or not having a state is better for their families, and then therefore be libertarian.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's the order it happens in, because I'm not someone who did it that way. Maybe there are. I would assume there are. But yeah, so yeah, there are but there are in fact people who, or women, they have families, and they're like, hey, the state's interfering with my family, and I hate the state. I don't know if it's therefore I hate the state. I don't know if they hate the state first.
Well, that'll definitely make you hate the state, is when they mess with your kids, right? Like if you hadn't figured out that the state is evil, you'll figure it out then.
Yeah, so yes, there are people and there are women who realize, okay, the state is kind of just by definition be messing with my family because they mess with stuff, so I'm a libertarian. That doesn't mean that realizing that you have a family, which not all women do, is going to make you libertarian, because you could just as easily say, yeah, I want what's best for my family, what's best for my family is I can go marry the state, give me your money. So, I mean, you could kind of go either way with that.
Let's go to your calls and thoughts. Michael is on the line on Skype. Michael, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Melanie.
Oh, hello.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Hi, you're on the air.
All right. Hi,
hey.
Melanie. Ian.
Hey.
I want to talk about an interesting bill that's going to be discussed at the State House on Wednesday.
In New Hampshire?
New Hampshire, yes.
Okay.
It's House Bill 1749. It's got to do with firearms freedoms. Yeah. It's interesting in a way. It reinforces the self-defense clauses that the New Hampshire Constitution and New Hampshire state law has, because it's trying to ban and penalize town officials, those that prohibited firearms on town property.
Yeah, that's illegal in New Hampshire. The only places where firearms can be prohibited is from private property. If the private property owner, let's say a bar owner or something, doesn't want to have his patrons in there armed, then he can, an individual private property owner can make that decision. But as far as state buildings go, only secured facilities like jails and courthouses are allowed to prohibit firearms, as I understand it. No city building is allowed to do anything like that. So those people... what you're saying is, Michael, they're not facing any kind of consequence now, but this bill might actually make it so there's some punishment for them?
That's exactly what this bill is talking about, because, for example, in Lebanon, the school board passed a rule or law or an ordinance that at school events you're not supposed to possess firearms, and the police chief in Lebanon will enforce it and will arrest people, I understand. Right, school events, it doesn't even talk about school buildings or anything like that. And the state house reps, they're not, the liberty-minded ones are not happy with such occurrences. That's why they're trying to pass this bill. It's got 10 co-sponsors on it.
Good. Well, we're actually getting into the political season here in New Hampshire, and to some extent we will follow on the air, even though we do an international radio show. Free Talk Live is a bit of a reality show as well. Like it's not just talk show hosts behind microphones just yammering about their opinions. It's actual activists. We actually get out there and do stuff to work towards more freedom in our lifetime. And one of those things is political action. And I was talking with Daryl W. Perry, who is the Liberty lobbyist. He's a crowd-funded lobbyist in Concord there, and he's about to kick his activism into high gear. He's hitting Concord this week, as a matter of fact, for a number of different hearings and such. And New Hampshire is one of the places where we have some of the best gun laws out there, or the lack of gun laws. It's a very freedom-oriented place already, and I'm glad to hear that they're working to try to make it even more freedom-oriented, because last year we had a big step forward in New Hampshire where one of the final vestiges of gun prohibition was taken away, where people are now allowed to conceal a weapon without asking government permission in New Hampshire, which was like the one thing that was holding New Hampshire back from being the top tier of best states to own firearms, to own guns. Having that concealed carry without a permit or as they call it, constitutional carry, I think was a major feather in our cap, and it sounds like they're going to be looking to make that better this political season. Thanks for sharing that, Michael. Anything else on your mind tonight?
One more. Yeah, to me, it's more than a gun bill, because this bill is going to penalize the officials for violating the state law.
Yep.
Civil fines up to $5,000 and damages up to $100,000 if there are damages.
Which is what happens to us if we violate state law. We get fined or arrested.
Now, wait, do they have to pay that fine out of their own salary, or does that come out of the taxpayers?
Yes. And this could be a cause for termination from the employment as well.
Good. Are you going to be there to testify about that, Michael, at the State House?
If I'm not too nervous, I will.
All right, man. We'll look forward to seeing you there. Thank you, Michael, for the call tonight.
Wednesday, 10 o'clock.
Yep. Well, we don't want to put a bunch of calendar items out because it's an international show. But, nonetheless, people do need to know, and thank you for the call, they do need to know that New Hampshire is it's a destination for people who care about freedom, for people who want to get active, for people who want to do more than just complain on the internet, than just debate.
And you can still also complain on the internet. It's not disallowed.
Oh yes, some of the activists here still complain on the internet, but at least they can do things. At least they can get together in tandem with other individuals in real life, show up, and actually make a difference. Not just inside the government, inside the system, but also from the outside, creating media, doing outside-the-system activism. It's really exciting. Go to 101reasonsfilm.com to see 101 reasons to move here. More coming up.
The answer to being in control of your own health care is freedom from insurance. Become part of a group of self-pay patients that come together to share in each other's medical expenses. Individual share amounts begin at $107 a month and $347 for families. Choose from 3 health-sharing programs. Holistic treatments may be eligible for sharing. See guidelines. Discount programs available for dental, vision, and pharmacy. Go to libertyoncall.org. That's libertyoncall.org.
Water is the single most important thing your body needs, so you want to be sure it's the best for you and your family. Since 2005, thousands have depended on Berkey purified water. The Berkey Guy provides the lowest priced filtration systems in every size. For incredibly delicious water now and in an emergency, get to goberkey.com or call 877-886-3653. 877-886-3653. Goberkey.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing. To be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Free speech is protected on the internet, right? Not always. Government agencies try to limit free speech and commerce on the net. Luckily, when they do, the Institute for Justice is there to defend your First Amendment right to free speech. IJ helped set the first federal precedent for internet free speech in 1999, and ever since has worked to prevent unconstitutional roadblocks in cyberspace. Visit our website today at ij.org.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You can't win if you don't enter, and you actually can improve your chances of winning a prize drawing if you wrinkle up your entry blank.
I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com, and I speak from experience. Why this works: if they'll be spinning the drum before drawing, your entry blank will move around more than, and not adhere to, other perfectly flat entry blanks. And if they don't spin the drum and merely reach into a box full of other perfectly flat entry blanks, many of which are sticking together, yours will feel different to the person reaching in. When you win, act surprised. And if you're looking for work, this is a metaphor. For more tips on sticking out in a world where just too much blends into the blah, 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 hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, and you're invited to join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Melanie, you are an accountant by trade. That is what you do most of the time when you're not here in the studio doing Free Talk Live. And you're not just any old accountant. You're an anarchist accountant. And I think we can count on one hand the number of anarchist accountants anywhere in the world. But you're the one who actually, there's probably a few of them that are kind of quietly anarchists who, believe in liberty but don't tell any of their coworkers. I imagine there's some hidden libertarian accountants out there. But you are out in the open. You hang it out from your shingle. You're here on national radio admitting that you hate the state and you want to do people's taxes for them.
Yes.
Because who the hell wants to do their own taxes? My God, what a nightmare. 'Tis the season to be reaching out for Melanie's assistance right now. As soon as you get your W-2s in order, whatever paperworks that these companies have to send you, that's when they should call you, right, for personal taxes?
Yes.
And
yeah, so whenever you get whatever papers you're going to get, then set up an appointment. If it gets too... I've had a couple people get stuff late and then try to call me like April 13th. If it gets late, call me anyway, and we'll see what's going on.
Well, if it gets late, you can probably help them file an extension, right?
Yeah, I mean, yes... If you call me April 14th at 6 p.m., I'm not going to promise what I'm going to be able to do in the next 20
No.
hours.
I meant if it's if you haven't got everything and it's April 1st or something like that, or it's a few weeks in advance and it's not looking good, that would be a good time to get in touch. Like, hey, we need an
maybe
extension.
A little bit before that.
Okay.
Like, if you haven't gotten everything by like mid to late March, you probably should be asking why.
Got it. And you can consult with folks on their personal taxes, also on business filings that are complicated. Like, your stuff when it comes to tax filings.
Yes.
You're the kind of person, and thank goddess there are people like you out there who actually reads tax code. You actually have read through this stuff.
Some of it can be interesting, but most people find it boring, I guess.
That's the key. Some people find it interesting, and thank goodness for people like you. So if you want Melanie to handle your taxes, to give you the opportunity to take as much of your earnings back with you as possible, then you want to reach out to her by going to tax.freetalklive.com. That is a forwarding URL that will take you straight to Melanie's website, tax.freetalklive.com. You might want to get in touch with her sooner rather than later. Let's go to Vernon. He's in New Orleans. Vernon, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Melanie.
Are you all familiar with that new bill that was passed by the New Hampshire Senate about residency and voter registration?
Probably.
I've heard of one. I haven't read it.
Is this the?
Well, it's been making the rounds on the liberal talkers. Can I give a brief summary of it?
Yeah, go ahead.
HB 372 is an effort to impose fines on voters who do not have a New Hampshire's driver's license, even though it is legal to vote in the granted state with an out-of-state license.
Yeah.
The bill would impose two affirmative obligations on new voters. Within 60 days of registering, a voter must obtain her car with the state and obtain a New Hampshire driver's license. And this is from Slate.com, by the way. It says that basically is saying, like, for college students and other people that may maintain residence outside of New Hampshire but want to vote in New Hampshire.
It's discriminatory, and it would prevent them from being able to vote.
Yeah, that bill's not going to be
The ACLU is going to challenge that, and it's going to get overturned.
But it passed your Republican Senate.
Well, yeah, because the Republicans...
all kinds of illegal laws passed every day.
Republicans are statists, too. In this case, the Republicans are very anti-voting freedom. For whatever reason, there's a paranoid belief system up here.
Okay, well, voting freedom is a really weird phrase that implies that you have a right to vote in democratic elections.
As long as there's a criminal gang forcing you to accept their rule, you should have a right to vote in their elections. And that's what's going on up here. That's what's going on everywhere. In this case, these Republicans think that there are this just boatload of fake voters that come in from Massachusetts or Vermont and engage in felony voting fraud on a regular basis, even though there's almost no evidence that any of this has ever really happened. There's a well-known kind of meme or a conspiracy theory that this is something that happens, and so therefore we need to have a crackdown on voting, the ability to vote, make voting harder. Because in New Hampshire, it's pretty easy to go and vote. You can actually go day of. You can register at the polls. You don't need an ID to register in New Hampshire, and that's one of the things that they're trying to change here. Is they're trying to make it harder. So, I mean, the liberal sites are absolutely correct on this issue.
I mean, they can require. I mean, legally speaking, they can require you to have an ID, and they can require you to have an ID that says that you live in the place that you're saying that you live.
Thank goodness they don't, because I like that I can go in there with no ID whatsoever and I can vote.
I don't really see what the purpose of that is.
It's just amazing that they would take it to as far as having to register your car and get a New Hampshire driver's license.
They can't require you to own a car to vote?
No. It says if you have a car, you have to register it within 60 days.
Yeah, but they also can't require you to get a driver's license because you may not be allowed to drive.
You might not be eligible to drive, but they can require you to get an ID as long as they don't charge for it.
Like a state ID kind of thing? Okay. Yeah, so, I mean,
if somebody's showing up to the polls in Manchester with a mass ID, that's a problem.
Luckily, we've got, it's just an ID. They can swear on an oath that they live in New Hampshire. If they're voting in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, they're committing a felony, and that can be investigated. And if there's any evidence
for that, what if they live in Mass and they just decided they'd rather vote in New Hampshire?
Or they're a college student. I think that's the biggest population.
If they're only voting in one place, then that's legal.
The way that you solve that with college students is you hold elections during the summer, and if they're there during the summer, then they probably actually live here.
Well,
the college students should have the right to vote too. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, Vernon.
Well, I'm just going to close out. It says they can either relinquish their right to vote, remain domiciled without residency, and retain their out-of-state license and registration, costing them nothing, or they can exercise their right to vote, become residents, quote-unquote, and turn over hundreds of dollars to the state. Properly understood, the law looks like a special tax on college students who exercise the franchise.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely targeting college students because,
Because a bunch of people come and vacation here for 9 months and try to vote because of that?
No, because college students are more likely to vote on the left, and these are Republican bills. So the Republicans are trying to prevent people who might be on the left from voting, but of course they're also excluding all of the Republicans in college.
If your ID is in another state, your car is registered in another state,
yeah,
you're only here 9 out of 12 months.
You only need to be an inhabitant.
You're not a resident.
You don't need to be a resident.
Well, that's ridiculous.
The point of so then you would support the Republicans and their voting restrictions then.
I would not support this bill because this bill is absurd. But to say you have to live here to vote.
They do live here. They're in college. They live there. They poop there. They eat there. They sleep there. They live there.
Okay, so if I go to Colorado on vacation, I get to vote in Colorado now?
I suppose if you wanted to, as long as that was the only place where you were voting. If you're voting in more than one place, then that's voter fraud.
Okay, but New Hampshire can't say, hey, every other state, give me your voting records.
They could if there was an allegation of fraud. They could go and investigate that.
No, they can't because New Hampshire can't tell Mass or Vermont.
They can ask for it. Voting records are public. And besides that, most of the states will assist other states in investigating felony charges. So first of all, there's no evidence that what you're suggesting is actually happening. There's just paranoid. There's people
I'm not even suggesting that that's happening.
The Republican paranoiacs who are behind this bill, they will see a Massachusetts license plate at a voting location, and they will jump to the conclusion that, oh my God, it's voter fraud.
That's not an unreasonable conclusion.
It is unreasonable given there's no evidence. That person might be a poll worker for all they know. But even if it is a person who walked in there, there's no illegal factor to have a car registered in another place. The car I drive is registered in Montana. Should I be investigated for potential fraud?
No, because we've pretty conclusively proven that you actually live here.
Okay, but even if you did investigate, there's no evidence of fraud. It's just somebody who drives a car registered in another state.
Okay,
and there's
but
no obligation
saying,
for that
I
car.
live in Mass, I also live in New Hampshire. You could see how that's a suspicious statement, that they're making both of those statements.
If they're voting in more than one place, then go ahead, investigate that. More coming up here. It's Free Talk Live. Cryptocurrencies are successful because of good technology. The liberty-loving voluntarists who founded Zencash in 2017 took the best tech, like zero-knowledge anonymity and decentralized autonomous organizations, and are creating a secure platform for money, messages, and media that can be sent to anyone, anywhere in the world. Zencash is a cryptocurrency dedicated to peace, anonymity, and decentralization. Find out more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com.
You've heard of Bitcoin Cash, but did you know there's now a Bitcoin Cash wallet? The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful full-featured Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core wallet that allows you to send and receive either currency with anyone, anywhere in the world. The Bitcoin.com wallet supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available for Android, iOS, Windows, Mac, and even Linux. Learn more at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. I'm here to tell you about GCNtelecare.com, a team of board-certified doctors assisting you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Within 15 minutes of registration, care your family can afford. Revolutionizing the healthcare industry, virtual consulting providing diagnosis of non-emergency medical issues by phone or secure video on computer or smart mobile devices. GCNtelecare.com, virtual care anywhere.
Free Talk Live.
Well, let's say that the Chinese troops decide to come over here because the local governments here have asked them to come here and help out with things, to controlling traffic and stuff like that. Would you be all right with that? If you were polled, would you say you're cool and great?
It would depend on, no, I wouldn't like it, but it would also depend on the situation. If I had a group of radical, say Christians, going around, terrorizing and bombing and killing other religious sects because they didn't believe in what they believe in, and we needed help. Yeah, I may at that point.
Now, what if
it's not like we have a group of people.
What if some of those Chinese troops by accident killed, say, your wife? How would you feel about those Chinese troops at that point?
I'm sure I would have a whole different opinion.
Yeah, I bet you would.
That's an honest answer.
You are an awesome caller.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com. Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business,
project, website, or idea, email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, and you're invited to join us on the radio waves. Take control of the airwaves, toll free, bring up what you want. Our number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom. If we get a chance, we'll tell you about the latest place where a soda tax has popped up, and maybe a town near you. With you in the studio here tonight, though, it's Ian.
And Melanie.
Also, don't forget, if you want to learn about cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, the best place to go is bitcoin.com. Start with the thing that started it all more than 9 years ago, Bitcoin. You'll learn the basics about it over at bitcoin.com. Maybe you don't need the basics. Maybe you're old school and you just want to get the latest news headlines. They've got a great news site there as well at news.bitcoin.com. There's a handy tools page at tools.bitcoin.com where you can actually get a quick conversion between Bitcoin and the U.S. dollar or Bitcoin Cash and the U.S. dollar. So head over to tools.bitcoin.com to do that. If you want to mine Bitcoin, you go to pool.bitcoin.com, and you can mine Bitcoin there. So head on over to bitcoin.com as we continue with your calls and thoughts. Stefan is on the line in Ohio. You're on Free Talk Live on Skype. Go ahead, Stefan. We have Stefan in Ohio. Going once. Stefan in Ohio. Going twice. All right. So, hello?
Sold.
Hello?
Sorry, I had my other microphone on.
Oh, there you go. All right, here you are.
All right, sorry about that. Earlier, you guys were kind of touching on the idea of libertarian purity and how you'd have to be careful because, like Melanie said, you can't just let people in that are on the top of the world's smallest political test.
Let people in what?
The liberty movement, basically recognize them as being in it. And while I agree that there has to be some sort of litmus test, I do think a lot of the time it goes entirely too far. Especially when you speak to some of the more, I would put them in the basket of like the ANCAPs.
Anarcho-capitalists?
Yes. Mm-hmm. They seem to shut people out who generally agree with the majority of their principles.
Okay, so there's only one principle, and you kind of either agree with it or not. And so I'm not sure what principles we're agreeing and disagreeing with.
Well, basically stances on liberty. I shouldn't have, said principle because obviously there's only one you really have to agree with. I apologize there. But they seem to shut out people who agree with them on like 80% of issues. Just, they make enemies that they don't have to make.
Okay, so I'm not sure how you agree with 80% of the NAP.
The non-aggression principle.
I'm talking about the general issues that are in the Libertarian Party platform. Things like gun rights or gay marriage or drug legalization, immigration, things like that. Especially when it comes to Austin Peterson. The way he is treated in the liberty community sometimes just angers me.
Austin Peterson wrote should be treated an article like called Why We Shouldn't...
He wanted to abolish the non-aggression principle.
I forgot the exact name of it, but why we shouldn't follow the NAP or why Libertarians should abandon the NAP.
Right, he wanted to get rid of it from the Libertarian Party's statement of principles.
For a long time, that was like the first or second hit on Google if you Googled non-aggression principle.
Really?
So, yeah, Austin Peterson can go back to the GOP and whatever he has to do there.
I don't mind the idea of letting people into a movement. I like the idea of being a big tent and welcoming towards people, but I don't like the idea of letting people like Austin Peterson, who do not understand or actively reject, in his case, the non-aggression principle, which is the core tenet of libertarianism. Those people should not be running for political office. Those people should not be allowed to run for political office. There should be some sort – if they try to run for political office, they should be blackballed within the Libertarian Party and rejected by whatever committee it is in the party that could possibly reject them from doing that. But unfortunately, the Libertarian Party has been so infiltrated by these hacks who are basically not libertarians, and they're just – political power seekers who have been failures at achieving power in their own political party, the Republicans or Democrats, and so they've given up and they figured it'd be easier to go come into the Libertarian Party and take it over.
I mean, I kind of care a little bit less what the LP does than what the Liberty community does. I mean, the LP at this point is kind of just a bunch of GOP members that smoke weed who think that makes them libertarians. I mean, I do care to some extent, but, I mean, that's kind of somebody who, being a Republican who smokes weed does not make you an anarchist.
When it comes to people like Joe Miller or Charlie Earl or
I don't
Gary
know who any of
Johnson,
those people are. I've heard of Gary Johnson, though.
I can understand it there, but Austin Peterson, I think, is no doubt a libertarian.
What?
Well, he said he doesn't
He's
believe
against
in the
the
non-aggression
non-aggression
principle. That is like the only criteria for being a
so
libertarian.
you just said you're not a libertarian, dude.
And as far as I know, he rejoined the GOP
Republicans.
officially.
Yeah.
He ran in the Republican Party because it would have been far easier for him to win the Senate seat, which I think he should win. What, you wouldn't want to see Austin Peterson win that seat?
No, he's a snake.
Well, I don't know who he's running against, so I would have to
he's-
know that to answer that question. That
He's
doesn't make him a
with us,
libertarian.
But he's with the Liberty community on so many different issues.
Okay, but there is
the
one
most
issue.
important one.
There is only one issue, and he rejected it. Therefore, he's not a libertarian.
Some people could be for the non-aggression. I mean, could be for the non-aggression principle and still support things like government-run healthcare. Would those people be libertarians?
Well, you
No, they can't.
And no, they wouldn't.
No, if you are in favor of non-aggression, that means you do not support or advocate the use of force or the threat of force to achieve political or social goals.
Or
so if their
it
viewpoint,
shouldn't even say to achieve. It doesn't matter why you're doing it. You might be doing it for kicks. You don't.
If you've got a hospital, look,
force threats or force or fraud.
Right. If you've got if you've got people who want to support charity, great. Let's talk about charity. Let's talk about how if people are sick, that charity can come forward and people can voluntarily help those folks in that circumstance. If that's what they're saying, fine. If they're saying we need to have voluntary support of people who are in need, great. But that's not what you're saying here. You're saying they support government running health care. And so far in our lifetimes and the lifetimes of all the generations prior to us, governments have been gangs of people who have ruled by force, which would exclude them from qualification under the non-aggression principle, no matter what the goals of the political program are. So anybody who claims to be a libertarian and then out of the other side of their mouth says, but I support this government program, that person is not a libertarian. They're somebody who might agree with the libertarians on some issues, maybe even a majority of issues as far as the position of a libertarian, of what a libertarian
I can
would
find
say.
some Republicans who agree with me on the majority of political issues, but we're not talking about political issues. We're talking about a single philosophical position.
So you brought that up, Ian. I had to ask a question. Wouldn't that shut out pretty much anybody who doesn't believe in abolishing the state?
Yes, those people should be shut out from running for political office for the Libertarian Party. The only people who should be running for office for the Libertarian Party are the people who actually agree with the statement they signed to join the party. When I signed that statement, I thought, okay, I'm signing this thing. This means something. My signature to a statement like this is basically an oath. It means something. I'm going to reject the use of force, even if I had previously believed in the use of force on some issue or was uncertain about, that issue as to how we could, abolish force from that situation. I now know that whatever the issue is, I have to embrace not using force to achieve that particular goal. And that was a decision that I consciously made. At that time, one of my issues that I was kind of hung up on was the immigration issue. And I made that conscious decision to say, all right, well, if I'm not sure on an issue, I still know the answer is to not use force. Just need to learn more about how it could be done without, using force. And I made that resolution with myself, and I put my signature to that statement. The Libertarian Party still requires people to sign that statement. But what you're saying is they should go ahead and allow people who signed a statement rejecting the use of force to go ahead and violate that statement and further run for office while espousing the violations of that statement. That, sir, is not a libertarian.
So I don't support the idea of getting rid of all functions of the state.
Okay, so you want to keep taxation?
No.
Okay,
no.
so you want to have a state without...
I believe in court systems and an electoral process, and I believe in some function of the state.
How will they be paid for?
Voluntarily. We could have
then you don't
like
have a state
lotteries,
anymore,
bake sales.
basically. Okay, so then you're
still have a central body.
Yeah, okay, fine. If you want to call it a state or whatever, but heretofore, no state has ever, operated in the way you're talking about. If you're rejecting the use of force, you're a libertarian.
Yeah, I don't believe in involuntarily taking money from people, but I still.
But there are
believe
people
in
out there
some
who are calling themselves libertarians who do.
Well,
people like Austin Peterson.
Well, the question was going to be, do you think I should be disqualified from running for office?
No,
then,
you don't support the use of force.
State?
You just told me you don't support.
Neither does Austin Peterson.
Yes, he does.
He has the same ideas of taxation.
He is advocating for the abolishment of the non-aggression principle. That is the bedrock foundation. Huh?
Not a single policy of his advocates for the use of force.
Okay, but Austin Peterson may very well be a better candidate than whoever he's running against. But Austin Peterson has done more harm to the philosophy of liberty than anyone I am aware of in the history of mankind, because he actively both calls himself a libertarian and writes papers against libertarianism.
Right. I don't care what his policy papers say, dude. I care what's coming out of his mouth, and what's coming out of his mouth is the abolition of the principle that makes libertarians special. Thanks for the call tonight. There's more coming up on Free Talk Live.
Does the current world crisis in North Korea or our domestic crisis right here in America concern you? Well, I know it concerns me. My friends over at Legacy Food Storage have solutions in the event there's the inevitable. What's the inevitable? Civil unrest, a run on your local grocery store. And here's my question to you. If this happens, how do you feed your children? How do you feed your grandchildren? Legacy Food Storage has the solutions. In fact, they can help you implement a simple plan to take care of your needs in the event of the inevitable. By calling them right now, I have authorized them to give you a special 20% discount at checkout by simply using GCN. Call 888-543-7345 or visit them at legacyfoodstorage.com. That's 888-543-7345 or visiting them at legacyfoodstorage.com. Make sure you use GCN at checkout for an incredible 20% discount. Don't be a victim. Take control of your life now.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Boost Kid Essentials Nutritionally Complete Drink, providing your picky eater with essential nutrition and great taste in one drink. Visit us at kidessentials.com. To make sure your kids eat healthy, follow the 5-a-day plan. Serve 3 servings of vegetables and 2 servings of fruit daily. Remember, a serving could just mean a piece of fruit or a half cup of veggies. If your kids are picky eaters, ask a nutritionist about other sources. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live shows 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene, the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Monday, January 8th, 2018. Silver is trading at $17.18 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,320 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $53, and the average price of Bitcoin is $15,418. Antiwar.com reports with an estimated 1,000 people arrested over the course of a little over a week in protest in Iran, the most high-profile may ultimately be the most surprising. With reports, former President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad has been jailed for incitement. Though Ahmadinejad has not really been linked to the protest movement, he made comments during his visit to Bashir in late December, which seems to express support for them, faulting the leadership for being detached from the problems and concerns of the people. This makes the narrative a lot trickier internationally, as the U.S. has sought to brand the new protest as a continuation of the 2009 protests, which were themselves against Ahmadinejad's contested re-election. The newer protests started with small economic protest over high inflation and unemployment, and a crackdown fairly quickly angered the public and turned it into a political battle. Iran's Revolutionary Guard have declared the protest over at this point, and indications are that the only rallies on Saturday were in support of the government and against the protesters, whom the leadership have branded as U.S.-backed.
For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals. Gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. They don't feed the banks. They're Bitcoin preferred and have removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
UPI reports President Donald Trump plans to unveil an agriculture initiative seeking to bring broadband internet connection to rural America at the America Farm Bureau Federation's annual convention. Trump will speak alongside Secretary of Agriculture Sonny Perdue on Monday to address a report by the Interagency Task Force on Agriculture and Rural Prosperity, which he established with an executive order in April. Much of the report was built on the basis of bringing broadband internet to rural America, according to Grace Coe, Special Assistant for Technology, Telecommunications, and Cybersecurity at the National Economic Council. The FCC estimates about 39% of rural Americans lack access to quality broadband, which Coe attributed to a lack of interest from broadband providers. She said that is primarily because you have very little incentive to build out because the cost of deployment are high and very little promise of return because the revenue base is small. It makes it difficult to actually justify a business case for building that out. Well, we have to change that. Coe said the administration plans to use federal assets such as the pre-established towers on federal lands, as well as dark fiber deployed by agencies to allow rural providers to interconnect and provide service to communities that have not had access to broadband before. She added the administration also seeks to implement the congressional directive of 2011 by standardizing forms and contracts for antennas sitting on federal buildings. Trump is also expected to address NAFTA and the expiring Farm Bill while speaking at the 99th Annual American Farm Bureau Federation Convention.
Are you looking for a cryptocurrency that has a focus on users and usability? Then look into Zencash. Zencash is the world's first private, distributed, and reliable platform for communications, transactions, and publishing. Zencash features global governance with inclusive decision-making, reliable funding for continuous improvements, and documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zensystem.io. That's zensystem.io.
Reuters reports flooding from a water main break forced the temporary suspension of some flights at New York's JFK International Airport on Sunday, adding to the misery of travelers after a winter storm canceled or delayed hundreds of flights in recent days. The disruption occurred while the northeast of the United States continued to endure bone-chilling weather, with New York temperatures at 17 degrees Fahrenheit. International flights to Terminal 4 were temporarily suspended, and passengers who had already arrived there were diverted to other terminals, according to the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, which operates the airport. The authority said a water pipe that feeds the terminal's sprinkler system broke, which caused flooding and led to a temporary power cut in some areas as a safety measure. More than 500 flights into or out of JFK were canceled and nearly 1,400 delayed from Friday morning to Sunday afternoon. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Nothing you do or say will ever reach the lofty heights attained by the following news summary. This is the Onion Week in Review. Facing increased market pressure and a shrinking bottom line, media company Star Trove was forced to lay off dozens of unskilled bloggers this week. Sources confirmed that before being dismissed, many of the bloggers had been with the company for months, regularly performing menial tasks such as describing celebrity outfits and composing quizzes about Disney characters.
I mean, I'd been with this company for almost a year. It wasn't the most rewarding job, and I didn't have health insurance, but it paid the bills. I'm already 25 years old. I just don't know where to go from here.
In other news, a 6-day visit to a rural African village completely changes a woman's Facebook profile picture. A new dating website helps plus-size Jewish plane crash survivors find love. And a kid figures he'll go down the slide 36 more times and then call it a day.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. You can dial toll-free here and bring up anything that you want. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We do have Skype at Skype username LRN.FM. And here in the studio with you tonight as we launch into the third hour of the program, it's Ian.
And Melanie.
Of course, you can bring up anything that you want. We're going to go to your phone calls and thoughts. I don't know if we ever really finished the discussion about women and the liberty movement, so we can come back to that. And then also, we've got some news items, too, that we can discuss. You've got a lawsuit from the people, some of the people over at Antifa.
Well, no, it's from one person, and it was one of the victims of Antifa.
Oh, I thought Antifa was suing people who said things they didn't like. I know nothing about the story. I appreciate the correction. But anyway, Antifa's involved in a lawsuit. We'll get into that coming up here in a moment. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom as we go to your calls and thoughts. First up, he is Ricky in the Commonwealth on Skype. Hello, Ricky.
Thank you there, Brother Ian.
What's on your mind?
Well, real quickly, I wanted to chime in on the discussion. I believe it was a Vernon, I caught the tail end of it quickly. This bill here, I guess the Republicans are touting. If you could real quickly on that, give me a quick brief rehash of that.
What bill?
I guess it was about the students, I guess Massachusetts.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
the voting ID bill where they were going to fine people if they didn't get a New Hampshire ID after they voted.
All right. Now, I take it they are trying to vote in New Hampshire?
Well, they are.
Yeah,
you
so
don't have to have a New Hampshire ID in New Hampshire to vote.
Yeah, so college students should be able to vote in the place in which they live, in my opinion. And there are people in the state legislature here in New Hampshire who don't agree with that. And they are trying to put a stop to anybody who does not have what's so-called residency, which is a legal term that has to do with saying you live in a place so you can then be subject to all of its legalities. I'm still not sure why someone would voluntarily choose to be a resident anywhere, but the state tries to make it sound like it's some sort of a voluntary choice.
Okay, so it's not like you just go sign up and be like, I hereby inform the state of New Hampshire. That's not how it works.
No, there's certain things that you can do to establish residency.
Yeah, like
one
living
of those things
there
is
and not
getting,
living anywhere else.
Well, no, you can live somewhere and be an inhabitant. I'm surprised you don't know this distinction as an attorney.
Don't also live somewhere else.
You can only be an inhabitant at one time in one place, but you can live outside of a certain place and still be a resident of the place that you are living outside of.
Okay, I cannot only live in New Hampshire and decide in my head that I'm a resident of Colorado.
Why not? The New Hampshire state statutes say that the New Hampshire state statutes actually say, and if you need me to, I'll pull it up and quote from it exactly, but they actually say something to the extent of you are basically a resident in any state, in any place in which you say you're a resident. Now, that didn't matter to Judge Burke when he forced me by the threat of violence to get a New Hampshire driver's license. He didn't care what the actual state statutes say about residency here in New Hampshire.
New Hampshire has no legal authority to say that you are or not a resident of some other state.
Well, they said that about me.
Okay, well,
the judge threatened me with never being able to drive again in New Hampshire unless I went and got a New Hampshire driver's license, because my driver's license was from Florida at that time, and it had been for years.
Okay, so he wasn't telling you that you were a resident of Florida. He was telling you that you were a resident of New Hampshire.
He was saying,
which was accurate.
Despite the fact that I denied being a resident of New Hampshire, I did not specify where I was a resident. I just simply said I am a resident not of New Hampshire. I'm a resident in some other state. As far as I'm concerned, it's the state of confusion, because I don't understand what all of this crap means. It's all a bunch of legalese. It's all a bunch of terms that I don't understand. I didn't write them. I don't know anything about it. I can barely read the crap that they write. But, yeah, so basically I by the law of New Hampshire, made it clear that I was a resident from somewhere else, and he ignored that crap and pointed to, the fact that I live here as claim that I am a resident. And I reject that idea, but ultimately I went ahead and I got the damn license because driving's pretty important to me, so he had me under the gun, literally.
Well, now that, and I'm glad you said that, because I'm going to say first off, Ian, I'm down with you on the ID part, because that is state garbage and nothing more. But I have a different take on this. Now, I don't know how it is in New Hampshire, but I will say here how it is in Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. And I have a very good example of something people do with taxes from New York here. It's a good example of why this is wrong. Now, let's take voting. Now, the way it's written up, the requirements has nothing to do with the damn ID. That's not even there in Pennsylvania. But what is there is you have to be here. First of all, you have to be here a year. Second of all, you have to pay a tax. Now, the way that's defined, this is the Commonwealth, so that's going to be a county tax. Now, sales tax don't count.
You have to live there a year and pay a tax before you can be a resident? Is that what you're saying?
Before you can vote.
Before you can vote.
Right, because at a minimum, what's usually the case, I mean, they got starting to crack down now, but I mean, what usually was the case is it just won't count. Now, here, I'm going to give an example of why this is important. When I'm saying a tax, I mean, a Commonwealth tax. Sales tax is not an example of that. And I don't know how New Hampshire is, but here's why this is the case. Example, there was a bus driver, and I ended this discussion with him. Now, he's a New Yorker. Now, he drives the bus. Now, he's telling me, now here's the thing, he's in Pennsylvania. Now, he rents an apartment for his wife, and he's got at least one kid. Now, he's got his residency in New York. His license is in New York, and he drives for the bus company. Now, we have legislation through, which was there for a purpose, to stop people like him. Because if you're in Pennsylvania and you're doing that, the fact of the matter is you got to pay both ways, not only New York, but also to the Commonwealth. Now, he's not doing that. And of course, the IRS is letting him get away with it. Now, why this is important?
So where is he living? In New York or in Pennsylvania? I got a little lost there.
He's living here. He keeps his residency and his license. His license is in New York. He's living here. And the thing is, he keeps a residency in New York.
Okay.
See, and the thing is, working down here.
Why would he do that? Why would he keep a residency in New York if he's not living there?
Because, and he'd have to vote there, too. He can't vote here. The reason why is because we put through legislation a few years back because of the New Yorkers, because, see, they got the heavy taxes up there.
Right.
And when he's paid by the Commonwealth, and as a result, he's not paying both ways. Like, it's called tax evasion.
I'm confused at what you're saying, though. He works for the government?
Okay, so he's maintaining kind of a...
He works for the bus company.
He runs a what? Oh, so he runs... Wait, he's working for a private bus company or the government bus?
He works for the bus county for Monroe County Transit. He's a bus driver.
Okay, so he works for the government in Pennsylvania.
No, he works for the county. And the fact of the matter is...
But in Pennsylvania. He works for a Pennsylvania county.
He lives there.
But he works... Just want to make sure I'm clear on this. He works for the Pennsylvania county, lives in Pennsylvania, but then has residency in New York. What is the benefit of holding residency in New York?
I'm going to tell you. Now, his commercial driver's license is out of New York. In fact, if he's got to vote, he's got to go back to New York. Now, here's the thing. We passed legislation a few years ago because what people will do, because of the taxes and everything else in New York, what they'll do is, the problem is they'll come down here and work and won't work down there so they don't get taxed with a heavy tax.
Yeah.
He's renting also. And we put through legislation that you got to pay both ways. If you're living here...
Pay both ways. What does that mean?
Well, you got to pay in New York.
Why? Why would you care? Why would the people in Pennsylvania care if somebody pays New York tax? I mean, it would seem to be a good thing if people were coming from, and thank you for the call tonight, it would seem to be a good thing if you're, at the border area of Pennsylvania, New York, that's a long border, it would seem to be a good thing that people would be wanting to come live in Pennsylvania, because then the people who are renting houses in Pennsylvania, the businesses in Pennsylvania, the government in Pennsylvania, they're getting a lot of that revenue. If they're working in Pennsylvania, that's even better, because then you've got, again, revenue coming in to the people of Pennsylvania. Why would anyone care whether that person is registered to vote in New York still, for whatever reason? I mean, I don't care. As long as they're just voting in one place, it doesn't matter to me. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. I mean, if somebody wants to work where you live but doesn't want to vote there, who cares? Who cares about that? It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want on the radio waves.
I got my Blink home security system delivered right to my door. I downloaded the app and it walked me right through the easy setup. Even with my complicated router system, I was done in like 10 minutes. Now it notifies me whenever something moves in front of the wireless cameras, or I can just check it whenever I want right from my phone. And I got you a deal. Get 3 Blink cams for what the other guys charge you for 1, plus an extra 10% off. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL. blinkprotect.com/FTL. blinkprotect.com/FTL.
From the third letter of Captain Mark. The Crown's observation conditions us to be dishonest with ourselves. Therefore, constant surveillance produces a society of constant deception. Honest communication is the seed of civilized conduct. To deny us this seed is to deny us its fruits. But the Crown's primary objective is to stifle free thought itself, to make its subjects incapable of dissent. Seasoned pirates have always encrypted messages and codes and ciphers, so intercepted transmissions were incomprehensible. But today the Crown possesses advanced tools of pattern recognition that document, profile, and predict our every move. Today, piracy requires hailing frequencies completely invisible to the Crown. We are tired of poltergeists in the static. Looking for a community of like-minded scoundrels, or just want some swag to let the Crown know what you think of it? Join the conversation at pirateswithoutborders.com.
Cryptocurrencies are successful because of good technology. The liberty-loving voluntarists who founded Zencash in 2017 took the best tech, like zero-knowledge anonymity and decentralized autonomous organizations, and are creating a secure platform for money, messages, and media that can be sent to anyone, anywhere in the world. Zencash is a cryptocurrency dedicated to peace, anonymity, and decentralization. Find out more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Dial on in toll free here at 855-450-FREE. Like freedom, that's 855-450-3733. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Melanie.
Check out Zencash. You care about freedom? You love voluntarism, anarchism? You really ought to look into Zencash. They are a cryptocurrency that actually uses the term voluntarism in their, or voluntarist, one or the other, in their white paper. And, you know, there's a zillion cryptocurrencies out there. How do you make one outstanding from the other? because anybody can copy any of the code. It's all open source. So how do you know which one's going to be the one that wins? Well, I have no idea. And I don't think anybody can possibly predict that. But I do like the idea of throwing down some support for the libertarian cryptocurrency, because we know that Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin, was a pretty libertarian-sounding person or persons, whoever they are. And the folks behind Zencash are following in those footsteps. It was created in 2017, and they took some of the best technology, like zero-knowledge anonymity from Zcash, for instance, and decentralized autonomous organizations like Dash has had a lot of success with that, and they've created a secure platform for money and messages that can be sent to anyone, anywhere in the world. Zencash is a cryptocurrency dedicated to peace, anonymity, and decentralization. You can find out more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com as we go to your calls and thoughts. EJ is on the line in West Virginia. EJ, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Melanie. Hello? Hello, EJ. Going once.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we have you now. Go ahead.
Well, I'm sorry.
Yep, no worries. No apologies necessary. Go right ahead.
Okay. So, have you guys, either of y'all watched the Golden Globes last night?
No, I would never watch anything like that. I don't even have television.
Well, good for you, honestly. But I didn't watch it either. Actually, I had a lot more important things to do. But
what is a Golden Globe? Is that like a daytime TV Emmy award or something?
Yeah, it's Hollywood stuff. It's like another Emmy / Oscar. It's like a early winter kind of thing for. It's both, I guess, the best of both TV and movies. I think it used to be just TV, but now it's like TV and movies, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But anyway, last night, and I didn't watch any of it. I had a lot more important things to do last night.
Yes,
but,
let's all talk about something we didn't watch. Go ahead. What happened?
Well, there was some fallout. First and foremost, a lot of these award shows now are getting super political. I mean, and I can understand that. The Hollywood is right now.
Oh, they're mad. They're mad about Trump.
They are, and that's what it was. I mean, they didn't really talk much about him, but it was all about empowerment and stuff like that. But the most interesting thing that happened was Oprah Winfrey gave a speech.
Mm-hmm.
And in the speech, she hinted at a possible run for president.
Okay. What did she say?
Well, she basically, it was just kind of one of those things where she was saying something to the effect of, if I was in charge, there would be these sorts of things going on. And, like I said, I never actually saw it. I read a bunch of stuff online today. It's a good thing you quit Facebook, honestly, because that's all anybody's talking about today. It's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, I'm so glad
I mean, I guess if you have a whole bunch of, really normal people on your page that don't have anything to really say, I guess it is. I've only heard that, once on Facebook.
I am one of maybe 7 or 8 libertarians that I know personally. So
I don't know most of the people personally on my Facebook page. I mean, I guess it depends on how you use Facebook.
When I used Facebook, I only would add people that I'd met in real life. You're saying you'll just add any old person?
I mean, if I don't want people to know it, I'm just not going to post it on the internet. Therefore,
no doubt.
It's a public forum.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I use Facebook for outreach. People I know in real life, I can talk to them in real life.
EJ, so what do you think about
Well, a lot of
Oprah?
people, I think it's interesting how we always like to, and I say we, I don't actually include myself in this, but people are all of a sudden obsessed with the idea of making celebrities into politicians. And politicians...
It's been going on for at least 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, Reagan was an actor.
Well, yeah, Ronald Reagan, yeah, he was an actor. It's interesting though, because we're already starting to see online today just a lot of people talking about, well, oh no, she better not become president, otherwise this is going to happen and that's going to happen and everything's going to get more liberal and all that.
I mean, the president is a figurehead. Their job is to be the reality show of the United States. I mean,
and Trump's good at that. I mean, I don't like the guy's political viewpoints on a lot of things, but he is entertaining. You got to hand it to him.
He certainly is entertaining. I mean, his tweets, just everybody.
Yeah, I've never subscribed to a president's tweets before until Donald Trump, and I actually am a subscriber on Twitter.
I don't have to subscribe to him because I do subscribe to like news updates on my phone, and every time he tweets, I get like 5 different notifications.
Right. Yeah.
From, like 5 different.
That's not
outlets.
news.
There it is now.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
What happens on like now you've seen the news reporting on things that go viral. So instead of making something, popular like the news used to do, popularizing something, some news story, they now actually just report on what the internet decides. So if the internet makes something go viral, you'll see news stories about it. And so it's like news has been upended on its head as far as what it used to be compared to what it is now.
I only really look at mainstream media when it's Sunday night and I haven't had anything good to bring to the show yet. So I don't really see any use for it otherwise.
I don't know who's going to be running for office in 2020, but I can guarantee you that it's probably going to be some bad choices, whoever they are, whether they be Hollywood celebrities or politicians or whatever. It's going to be bad, and more bad, and probably worse bad than we've ever seen so far. That's my prediction.
Well, we've certainly got no reason to believe otherwise. I mean, the last several elections, that's been what we've had. But the question I keep asking, and people are actually getting annoyed at me by this because I'm like, listen, if you guys are so afraid of what's going to happen when the guy you don't like or girl you don't like gets in office, the question I have is why have we allowed one office and one person to hold so much power that they can make or break a nation? Like, why have we allowed that?
Because people don't know what to do about it. I mean, you can't fight City Hall is the common belief, even though you can, and we have examples of how we've won, like the Robin Hood case. Somebody was actually just recognizing me in the Twitch chat room earlier as one of the Robin Hooders. We won at the Supreme Court on a free speech basis for when the city government was coming after us for filling people's parking meters, filling expired parking meters, and saving thousands of people from getting tickets. We won that one. So it is possible to beat City Hall, but the individual generally doesn't believe it, and understandably so. The City Hall generally will win, and they do have a whole lot of resources at their disposal, and certainly federal government and state governments have even more resources at their disposal that they can utilize to destroy you. So it's not surprising that the government has been successful.
So asking somebody who doesn't want there to be a Federal Reserve might not make sense, but I think you're asking people who are actually in favor of having this position, hey, if you don't want these people to be in this position, why would you want the position in the first place to exist?
EJ, if you want to respond,
that does make sense.
Hey, you're welcome to. If not, your choice. Thanks. Here, we'll hang on to you just in case you want to. The toll-free number here, if you want to join us, 855-450-FREE. Oprah for president? What do you think?
Anytime, any place, anywhere. Radio remains the most intimate of all forms of media. At home, at work, in the car, on smartphones. Over 90% of consumers still listen to radio every week. That makes choosing radio as a place to advertise your business one of the best decisions you can make. Email advertise@gcnlive.com and partner up with an experienced GCN representative. Advertise@gcnlive.com. Easy, affordable, effective.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. I'm here to tell you about GCNtelecare.com, a team of board-certified doctors assisting you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Within 15 minutes of registration, care your family can afford. Revolutionizing the healthcare industry, virtual consulting providing diagnosis of non-emergency medical issues by phone or secure video on computer or smart mobile devices. GCNtelecare.com, virtual care anywhere.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up whatever you want. Just dial toll-free here at 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Joining you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Melanie.
Check out the Blink Home security system. They don't get easier than the Blink Home security system as far as setting up a security system. This one, wireless cameras. You unbox the system, you pop the batteries in, you set them up based on the app that you have that you can get on your favorite Wi-Fi enabled device like a tablet or smartphone. You set up, you configure the cameras, you put them in the rooms you want to put them into, you plug in the hub. That's the only wire in the system. There's the hub that you put, in a centralized location, and it communicates with those wireless cameras. And then, whenever something moves in front of the camera during the time frames you specify, it then sends you a clip of that motion, and you can specify the length of said clip. So it's customizable, and super easy to set up. You don't have to drill any holes or run any wires. It's super simple. Blinkprotect.com/FTL, like Free Talk Live. That's blinkprotect.com/FTL. You get 3 Blink cams for what some of the other guys might charge you for 1 security camera. Blinkprotect.com/FTL. Let's go to EJ in West Virginia, or back to EJ. You had called in about Oprah supposedly hinting that she might run for president. So there's a bunch of headlines about that. However, there's also other responses here. Twitter from Peter Alexander says that a source claimed to be close to Oprah has said that she has no intention of running for president in 2020. Quote, "It's not happening. She has no intention of running," unquote. But of course, that's what a lot of people say before they run for president, right? They say, "Oh no, I don't have any intention. We're not actively looking into that." And then later, intentions can change, and actively looking into something can start. So, who knows what's going to transpire between now and 2020. But as I said, whoever ends up running is going to be worse than we've ever seen, and the political system just keeps getting worse. It's just a power struggle by psychopaths and sociopaths who want to rule over others. And it's sad because we all are subject to it. But anyway, go ahead with your thoughts, EJ.
Right, yeah. I think I remember a handful of times where Donald Trump, for years, said he was not going to run for president. Mm-hmm. I think I saw a video as early as 2012 2012, 2011, where he said he had all these ideas for how a president should be, but it could never be him. It had to be someone more talented than him. And then, we all saw what happened.
Turns out he's got what it takes.
Whatever that is.
Yeah.
Hey, quick side note on the Blink security cameras. I can attest to how cool they are. I got a set of those for Christmas, and
cool.
I've been enjoying them very much.
How long did it take you to set them up? How many did you get? 3, 5? What'd you get?
I got 4.
4 of them. And how long did it take?
I was done in about 30 minutes.
Not too shabby. Did you screw them into permanent mounting kind of things, or did you just place them on shelves or whatever?
I've got 2 mounted on the wall. I drilled them into the wall.
Yep.
One in my living room, one in my bedroom. I've got one sitting on a shelf in my dining room, and I've got an outdoor camera looking over my front porch.
Cool.
And I was able to actually just check in earlier today because we got a lot of snow here, which I'm sure you did too. And so I was able to check and see how bad my walkway was going to be when I got home, and also checking on my dog and make sure she was all right.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it was great.
Glad it worked out for you.
Yeah, it's been so far so good.
Thanks, EJ, for the call tonight, man. I really appreciate hearing from you, and thanks for bringing the topic up because I think they were talking about it on the Call to Freedom today, but I didn't hear that whole conversation. So again, who's going to end up running in 2020? I don't really care. It doesn't matter. Whoever wins, we're going to lose because I guarantee you, Adam Kokesh, if he gets the nomination for the Libertarian Party, which is certainly not a guarantee. Given how bad the choices from the Libertarian Party have been for president since 2008, when they first really went down the drain by nominating Bob Barr, a former Republican who ultimately joined the Republicans again, and then another former Republican in Gary Johnson in 2012, and then again Gary Johnson in 2016. It's just been terrible choice after terrible choice from the Libertarian Party. I hope Adam Kokesh can make his thing happen. I really do wish him the best. But I'm not going to lift a finger. I'm not going to the Libertarian Party convention. I just don't care enough about the Libertarian Party at the national level to do anything.
I mean, they seem to act like they think they're going to win a presidential election anytime soon, and that they think that their job is to put forth a winnable candidate for U.S. president.
That's not their job. Their job originally was supposed to be to communicate the ideas of liberty on a principled basis to where people could understand them. And if they want, reject them. But at the very least, give them in an understandable, well-communicated manner to where the people could give it an honest look and think about, well, do I want to actually apply the playground principle of don't hit people in my own adult life? Yes, I do. That's a great moral principle. I'm going to embrace this. I'm going to join the Libertarians. Or, no, I am a bully, and I support bullying, and I support the government. I'm rejecting the Libertarians now that I understand what they stand for. That's what it was supposed to be, where people were given real information about what liberty means, about the non-aggression principle, and for the last decade of at least of the Libertarian Party, they have not been given that honest choice. They've been given a bunch of politicians like Gary Johnson and Bob Barr, who do not understand the principles of liberty, or if they do understand them, have actively rejected them, and it's tragic. It's unfortunate. Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. David is in New Mexico on Skype. Hello, David. Hello, David in New Mexico. Going once. David in New Mexico going twice. Thank you for the call. Toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE like freedom. So earlier we were talking about the libertarian women out there and how few of them there are. And you made the assertion that you believe it is because, and you are a libertarian woman, you're an anarchist woman, you believe that it is because women are more emotional than men, and so that's why there aren't as many in liberty, because libertarianism is a logical viewpoint, not an emotional one.
Well, any philosophical viewpoint, whether it's right or wrong, is derived from logic, so therefore libertarianism is also being a philosophical position derived from logic. And that's not to say that no men are emotional or no women are logical, but if you're talking about demographics, you have to look at general traits, and that's kind of what it is. And, I mean, if you look at it, most men aren't libertarians either. So it's
No,
not
that's true.
like, oh, all men are just completely illogical, because as a percentage of humans, a very small percentage of men or women are libertarians, so that's kind of not even a real argument. That is the only reason I can see for the disparity, and it is a reason that happens to be accurate. I mean, I wouldn't expect a bunch of emotional people to hold strong philosophical opinions on anything.
Does that mean that liberty is doomed? Because if we can't get women on board with the ideas because they're just too emotional, according to you, does that mean that we have no hope of achieving liberty in our lifetime? Because the reality
we have no
is,
hope of achieving liberty in either of our lifetimes anyway, whether women are emotional or not.
okay,
So,
how about liberty sometime in the next few generations, in the next 200, 300, 500 years? If what you're saying is that women are too emotional, that it's unlikely that that's going to get bred out of them over time, right? So like they're going to continue to be emotional into the future, if that's true what you're saying here. And I don't know if
I don't feel qualified to answer the likely evolution of traits in a species.
Yeah.
But, okay, so, I mean,
do you think it's possible to overcome one's emotions and be more logical?
Yes, I just don't.
Do you find that happening to you sometimes, where you will be very emotional and realize that you're not being logical, and you'll like stop and reset and think, no, bad emotions?
So what I tell people
need more logic.
What I tell people is that I'm just as crazy as any other woman.
Yeah.
I just realize it and choose not to act on it.
Do you know, do you think about the crazy in advance but just stop it from emanating?
Oh, I think about all kinds of crazy stuff on a daily basis.
Yeah. But you don't do it necessarily.
Not usually.
Okay.
I mean, and that's the goal, to not do it at all.
855-450 free. Your thoughts on the future of liberty? Because can we achieve this concept without women involved? I don't think we can. It's Free Talk Live.
Thinking about getting into cryptocurrency? It's time you looked into Dash. Dash is digital money that you can use to send instant and private payments anywhere for pennies. Dash offers a decentralized network where miners are rewarded for keeping it strong and safe. Dash has made a huge impact in the crypto world. Start your journey. Check out Dash.org for more information and get in now on the future of cryptocurrency. Dash.org.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful full-featured Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core wallet that allows you to send and receive either currency with anyone, anywhere in the world. The Bitcoin.com wallet supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. Download the Bitcoin.com wallet for easy and secure access to your Bitcoin Core and your Bitcoin Cash. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available for Android, iOS, Windows, Mac, and even Linux. Learn more at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-557-0158. That's 800-557-0158. Again, 800-557-0158.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your AMP will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you AMP Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com. Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. It's bitcoin.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. Of course, you can bring up what you want. In the remaining moments, we've got enough time for you. If you dial now, our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Here tonight, it's Ian.
And Melanie.
Don't forget, you can join us online. Head over to freetalklive.com and enjoy the features that we have for you on the site. Once again, that is freetalklive.com. We're talking about lady libertarians and why there aren't very many of them. And I was asking you during the break, Melanie, was there some aspect of this that we haven't covered yet that you really wanted to? And you said that there's all these questions about, well, why aren't there more libertarian ladies? Why aren't there more of them? Why is the percentage or the ratio so large of men to female in this movement? And we've talked about some of the possible reasons for that, according to you and some of the callers here tonight. But what you had told me was that the implication is that something needs to be done to bring more women to liberty, right?
Right. So when you ask a question like, why aren't there more female libertarians? Why aren't there more female engineers? Why aren't there more female scientists? The implication is that something needs to be done about that, and usually the implication is that there's something wrong with libertarianism or physics or engineering. And that's kind of silly, because these are all systems that are based on logic and facts, and you can disagree with some of the facts about philosophy, maybe not so much physics, I hope, but yeah, so then the implication is that there's something that needs to be done, and it's like, okay, well, the only thing we can really do is present the message, and you either accept it, reject it, or ask questions. If you ask questions, then we should be there to answer those questions.
Mm-hmm.
If you reject it,
move on.
I'm going to go to the next person.
Right.
If you accept it, then we accomplished what we came here to do. And I can't make someone not reject the message.
No, you can't, but you can sculpt the message in a way that can be more embraceable. There is a way to communicate with people that is more effective without watering it down. Now, I'm not talking. So you jumped to the conclusion earlier when I talked about speaking to women on issues that they would understand. You presumed I was talking about watering down the issues. I'm not. I'm talking about talking to people on issues that they find important. If you're speaking to a conservative, leaving out whether it's a male or a female, but if you're speaking to a conservative, there are certain issues on which they are more likely to agree with libertarians than others. If you're speaking to a liberal, there's certain issues on which they are more likely to agree with a libertarian on others. If I go to a conservative and I tell that conservative, we ought to legalize drugs because I want to get high, that's probabably not going to be
I'm just going to walk away or tell you to get off their property.
Right, that's going to be a bad attempt. Yeah. That's going to be a poor communication tactic. But if you know your audience and you talk to the conservative instead about all the taxpayer money that's being wasted on the war on drugs and show them, the statistics of how ineffective it is, then maybe they'll be more willing to consider that position. Now, that's not saying the principle right out there in the open, but it's getting somebody to agree with you on certain issues.
You're pointing out an inconsistency on their ends because you have somebody who's telling you they're fiscally conservative, but also that they want to wage this billions of dollars of war. So if you point out a flaw in their reasoning, they might be willing to listen to you. I can't make somebody want the NAP.
The non-aggression principle.
I can't make somebody want to believe in the NAP. I can't make somebody believe in the NAP. I'm not sure it wouldn't be a violation of the NAP to make somebody believe in the NAP anyway.
Strap them to a chair.
Whether it is or not, or whether I want to or not, it's not physically possible.
Yeah.
So
most people don't, on their own personal level, believe in aggression. They don't want to hurt their neighbor. They don't want to, abuse their children.
That's true. There are people who are kind of passive and they just go to work and go home and get groceries and kind of stay to themselves. Those people exist, but there's also a lot of people who, go to the local police fundraiser or support taxes for libraries or support various government programs. Those people aren't neutral. Those people are advocating a system of violence.
They are, but not necessarily because they're not persuadable. A lot of them are of that position because that's the way it's always been. And I'll give you an example of this. So one lady used to host a radio show here in Keene, New Hampshire. She doesn't anymore, but for years she was the host of the Saturday morning kind of local issues talk show on the local talk radio station here. Her name was Cynthia, and she still lives in the area. She just retired from doing that show. But she was a city councilor for some time and has been, pretty active in the political system. She actually sat on the board of the assessor, the tax assessors, where they determine whether or not a church can have tax exemption, that kind of thing. So she's been very active within the system. And I remember calling her show and talking about voluntarism as far as education is concerned. The insane government schools and the ridiculous prices that, they demand from people. The per pupil costs are out of control. And here on the property tax bills, it's like 70% goes, 60-70% goes to the government schools. So, I mean, it's a huge government boondoggle. And I remember just kind of explaining to her and saying, shouldn't we be able to just keep the money that we earn, and then parents can send their kids to whatever school they want to, and actually, we have choice in the marketplace. And she basically acknowledged that, yeah, that would be great, but that's not going to happen. It's not likely to occur. And, so she was of this it's always going to be this way mentality, even though she could see the benefits of, and she's old, she's maybe like 75, 80, somewhere in that range. So even though she could see that it was morally correct to allow people to make their own decisions, she didn't deny that. And she could see that it was actually superior as far as like choices in the marketplace. She didn't deny that either. She couldn't deny anything I was saying except for the one factor that she just didn't believe it was possible. And so changing what people believe is possible is part of what we're trying to do here, I think, as libertarian or voluntarist or anarchist activists in New Hampshire as part of this migration of people. We want to change people's minds about what we can achieve against the idea of the state. People don't believe the state's going to go away, and so therefore it will always be with us.
But people, that's a diversion from everything else, the way they do everything else. Because people also don't believe that rape and murder and theft are going to go away, but they don't therefore then support those things. They still say these things are bad, I'm against them, but by the way, I don't think they're going away. That's what they do with everything else. So they're treating the state differently, and that they're actively supporting it.
Yes, because there's a lot of propaganda surrounding the state. So, of course, people treat it differently. The state raised them. The state gave them their education. And, they believe that that was a good thing. They believe that they would, they don't know how better educated they could be if the state hadn't done it, but they still believe that the state did a decent job of educating them. Now, we can't compare apples to oranges and know for sure how much better their market education would have been if there was no state education apparatus. It probably would have been several times more efficient and more effective. But they don't know that, and it's hard to get them to see that. So you can't blame somebody for going with what they know.
Well,
what they know
yes,
is
I can,
that this system,
because they're an adult and they've sat down and thought about it. Because it's not something that they've just never thought about if they're telling me that they're right. So they've thought about it and they've come to the conclusion that they're wrong and they're going to do it anyway.
I don't know if she would say that she's wrong. Again, I don't want to put words in this person's mouth, but ultimately they don't see it as viable, right? So what we have is working. It's terrible.
It's not working.
But it is working. There's a bus that comes, and it picks up children, and it takes the children to a room, an institution, where they're indoctrinated with what the state wants them to believe. Education's working just fine for the state. They get all kinds of money. The budgets just keep on ballooning. The teachers get raises. They get new bureaucrats, new programs, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, from their perspective,
from the
it's
perspective
working.
of the state, not from the perspective of any individual.
Well, there are certainly some individuals who believe that they got a good education from the state-run schools. They compare their state-run school to the other state-run schools, and they say, well, our state-run school is better than those other state-run schools, so therefore I got a good education. And they're happy about it. So getting those people to see that their position is immoral, it's a tough thing to do. But even if you can get them to see that, they still might not reject it simply because it's convenient. Because the theft is convenient and ongoing.
And it's going to be convenient because it would be really convenient if you just go have a couple kids, get on welfare, get Section 8, rob banks on the weekends, then go become a CEO of some company that sells bombs to, 3 different countries. Yeah, that would be really convenient. That would make your life personally better. But it's a heinously immoral thing to do.
No doubt.
I can't make immorality inconvenient. There's
We
nothing
have to make
I can
immorality
do about that.
persuasive to make people, give them the opportunity to change their minds. But we're not going to be able to do it in the next 5 seconds. So we'll see you tomorrow night online in the meantime at freetalklive.com. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites?